Hello everyone, and welcome back to Technically Unsure, where I'm not really sure what I'm doing technically. What am I doing? Today in this video, we are going to cover something that I wanted to do this for a long time. One of the reasons I postponed it was the price. I absolutely agree with you every time when I review a Chinese motherboard or NAS or something. One of the top comments that I always get is like, it comes with a Chinese rootkit with Chinese malware and this and that. Just so you know, the reason those motherboards and bundles that comes with motherboard and a CPU and an SBC and all that stuff is cheap is exactly for that reason. There's nobody in there. They just built a machine, barely any documentation, which I try to highlight. If there is no documentation, like sometimes on some SBCs, I tell you guys, my very first video in my channel when I started was a hack board. I said, guys, please don't buy this because there is absolutely no documentation. GPIO doesn't work. It's hack board. You can't hack anything with it. That was my video. So a long story short, everything have a price attached to it. If you want a support, there's a price. If there is security, there's a price. Security, if you want, there is a cost attached to it, and there's an R&D cost attached to it. On that note, I went out and bought this expensive bad boy from a company called Protectli. They are making a lot of SBCs and routers and computers that you can use as hypervisor, switch, whatever. Many of them come with Coreboot, which is an open source UEFI BIOS, whatever you want to call it, project which is secure. But here's the kicker. Look how much I paid. This one, VP6630, comes with an Intel i3, comes with 6 ports apparently, and I didn't want to bother with the RAM. I ordered one with the RAM, so you can deduct the RAM cost, which is $53, and I also wanted the TPM module, which is $50, but overall you can see it's $600 just for the mini computer. I paid like $851, nothing for the shipping, just the tax. So before getting ahead, now let's cut this. Oh wow, this is the mini computer. Let's see what else is in the box. Bunch of screws here, USB-C cable, power cord, power adapter, VESA mount for mounting it behind monitor or to the wall or something like that, SATA cables, SATA power cables, two, and stand, I guess. I'm gonna put everything back except the power. Let's go over the CPU and everything. Okay, so this bad boy comes with Intel i3, as you saw, cheapest option from the VP 6-port series, whatever, that comes with Coreboot. It comes with 10 cores, 12 thread, Intel i3 1215U, which can clock boost up to 4.4 gigahertz. And it comes with 2 SFP 10 gigabit ports right here. These are each 10 gigabits. It also comes with 4 2.5 RJ45. So these are all 2.5s, okay? I tend to overkill in my projects, but I don't know. It's a little bit too much. You can maybe install Proxmox and use pfSense as a guest and do some other stuff with it. Up to you. That's not the point. We are going to focus on the point of this video. I want to show you how much an R&D costs. When you keep saying the security is important and you want the security, this is the price you have to pay. Yeah, if you want real true security with open source and Coreboot and all that stuff. So if you want something that doesn't have Intel ME, doesn't have the IPMI from Supermicro, doesn't have the firmware and BIOS and hypervisor or something like that, that is with closed source and is open source, yeah, that's the price. So these guys are working on the Coreboot and integrating and making Coreboot work on their hardware. That comes with a price. That's the price. So display port, HDMI port, SIM card port, COM port, and COM port. So they have a COM port 0, COM port 1. Both are COM ports for console output. Let's say if you have pfSense or whatever, you want to see the console output. No VGA, so you can use this. And there are like devices that turns COM port into Wi-Fi device, and you can see it from your phone. That's a different story, but just saying. And in terms of the USB ports, these are all, I believe, USB 3.2 Gen 2. This blue one, USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A, and these are USB 2.0 Type A. And there is a USB-C also 3.2 Gen 2. And this is the power button, okay? These Wi-Fi icons, they are nothing attached to it. That being said, before turning it on, I gotta take a look inside. So I'm going to remove these screws. Let's see. All right, 1, 2, 3. There you go. Okay, so they have Protectli. Their logo is even on the motherboard. So even if they are doing white labeling, this is custom made. And this is the $50 TPM module. And there's a USB 3 port here as well. There is SATA, 2 SATA ports, which as you saw in the box, it comes with the power connectors. These are SATA power connectors, as well as SATA cables. So if you want, there's also M.2 SSD slot right over here that you can install, which I'm going to populate. And the RAM option that I bought, right? I bought two 16 gigabytes. So yeah, each is two 16 gigabyte, 32 gigabyte RAM right here from Crucial. Yeah, as I said, see the Wi-Fi things? There's nothing attached to it. It's just a plastic. There you go. You have to push it out, put an antenna and something through it. That's pretty much it. And the whole case is basically a big, gigantic heatsink for the CPU that's right behind it, and there's a fan also here. In terms of the NVMe SSD, where I'm going to actually install an operating system, I want to remind you guys my new favorite NVMe SSD, which is this GM7000 Predator. I just recently learned about it. I will put the links below. They also have some Black Friday whatever discount codes as well. So this is 7400 and 6700 megabits read and write speeds, and we benchmarked it and tested it in many computer and SBC reviews. So yeah, this is my number one go-to NVMe SSD. Anyway, let me install this, my favorite. There you go. And I'm gonna put this back, I think this way. All right, I'm gonna put the screws back in. So what we are going to test in this video mainly is not really about benchmarking the Intel i3 1215U or anything like that. I just want to make sure that, like for instance in pfSense or Ubuntu, the Ethernet drivers are working and detected, which they are using Intel i226V Ethernet for the 2.5 ones, and for the SFP ones, I believe they were using the Intel X710 VM2 SFP. So I just want to make sure that's the case and that it works in the Ubuntu, for instance. And I want to mainly see that Coreboot, okay, an open source BIOS that you can trust. That being said, let me power this up and I will be right back. Okay, so I wired everything up, so you can see the power consumption is already 1.6. I put a USB stick which does have Ubuntu on it. And 1, 2, 3. Oh, that was the beep. Okay, Protectli. Oh my God, look at that. Oh, that's so small. But yes, you can see right there, it is Coreboot UEFI. Okay, version 0.9.0. This one comes with this BIOS, this UEFI, which is open source, which is Coreboot, which is safe and secure. It's VP6630, exactly the model that I bought. And they've released updates for BIOS for this, and you will get support. You will have BIOS updates, support, everything. User password manager, that's the BIOS stuff. BIOS password, device manager, driver health, nothing there. Secure boot configuration is disabled. Why? And TCG2 configuration, TPM2 is installed. That's their TPM module that I bought. And security options are here. Lock the BIOS boot media, USB configuration, serial port configuration, and CPU configuration, number of E-cores, all. And yeah, you can play around it. And the hyper threading, okay? You can have it enabled or disabled. And one-time boot is basically boot override, I guess. Yep, from the USB. And boot maintenance manager. That's pretty much it. There's not much else going on. So this is Coreboot. It's lighter than usual UEFIs that you see, but at least you know there's nothing running on it. There's no backdoor or anything like that. Okay, so let's do one-time boot override. Let's boot from my USB disk. Okay, there you go. Let's boot into Ubuntu. Alright, so we are booted into Ubuntu 22 live environment. Now first things first, fast fetch. Ubuntu Jammy 22 VP6630 and 2 minutes boot time. CPU is 12th gen Intel and i3 1215U, and the Intel graphics, integrated graphics. It's snappy, it is snappy, very, very fast. And 32 gigabyte RAM is detected. So I'm gonna do a very quick stress NG on this, and I just want to see the power consumption. So we started it, and when all the threads are being used, all the cores being used, it goes up to 65 watts. That's kind of the cap. So maybe like fans start ramping up and a little bit using the Ethernet, that will go like 70 watts or something. But 60-70 watts is max, I guess, for this mini computer. And in terms of power, we didn't actually check, but here it is. So 12 volt 10 amps, so 120 watts is actually max that it can even put out. Okay, but I don't think it gets anywhere remotely close to that top. So in terms of this test, oh wow, okay, I was not expecting that much from an i3, but it is a very powerful CPU. It's 42,700. Just for reference, Raspberry Pi 5, you will get 870 to 900. So it's very fast. And in terms of the 2.5 gigabit, let's make sure it is 2.5 gigabit. Okay, yep, it is absolutely 2.5 gigabit. I just want to let you guys know that I didn't install any driver. So if we do ifconfig or IP address, and you can see that the SFP ports and the 2.5 gigabit ports are all detected with nothing installed in Ubuntu. And I'm sure same thing will happen with pfSense. So the other thing I wanted to check was the flash ROM. So if we do flash ROM-p internal-r bios.bin, and it cannot do it. It cannot read it. So they have an instruction on how to install Coreboot using their tools, which I believe is like Protectli Flash, something like that. So let me locate that and show you guys how it is. There's nothing else really in this machine. And the other things like, let's say HD Palm, let me just do very quickly to see the speeds. I just want to see the NVMe. Oh, wow. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about when I tell you that the NVMe SSD, this bad boy, easily became my favorite for the half the price. So yeah, this is the speed that you're going to get. Even fast, I've seen better in Windows. So it is a very powerful computer. You can absolutely use this as a firewall. You can install Proxmox on it and have a bunch of virtual machines running on it. One of them guests being pfSense. Use the SFP ports, pass through, you know, all that stuff. Let's see how it is connected. So LSPCIe-VV. Okay, so here the Ethernet controller, yeah, this is one of them. It's connected. I don't know which one is this one though. It's 12.5C and another one, 2, 3, 4. So 4, I think these each ones are the 2.5 gigabit Ethernet ones, and there should be, yep. There you go. So there is the Ethernet X710 10 gigabit SFP. So yep, absolutely. You can install Proxmox and do a pass-through and basically just use this as a hypervisor with Coreboot, open source. Proxmox is also, you will have a very secure firewall as a guest OS inside the hypervisor, Proxmox environment, whatever. And you will know that everything you have, there is no secret functions going around. So when they are also using this Coreboot, there is no Intel ME. And then there is nothing secret in the Coreboot as well because it's all open source. So yeah, you will be sure there is nothing going on in this as long as your operating system, your guest or main hypervisor, whatever you're going to use with, is safe. Your hardware should be safe. But remember, I have to remind you guys, that's something R&D. It is costly, but you will get something very safe. So give me a couple of minutes. Let me see, maybe I will install Proxmox and see if there's anything else that I can show you guys on this and make sure that everything is working. I will be right back. Okay, sorry for back and forth. I just remembered, I just told you guys, I want to show you how you can do flashing like BIOS, but yeah, here it is. So they have this Protectli page where it shows you your device. So flash the BIOS flash support, and this is the VP6630, which is this one, and V09, exactly what we are using. So we are already on the latest version. So you come down all the way, they have a GitHub repo link over here, and that's right here. So we are going to try it. I haven't tried it. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. So we are going to try, and then we extract that flashly. So cd Protectli firmware updater, and oh, it's already pre-compiled. So flash BIOS, I have to run it as sudo. Okay, shut down VP6630, disconnect the power cable from the unit, wait 5 seconds after it's completed. That's for after. Then flashing new firmware into this, you must disconnect and reconnect the power cable. Okay, you need a power cycle, you have to remove the cable. So here you go. It detected the UEFI and it detected the CPU and available BIOS. There is default AMI one, which is not Coreboot, and probably that's what the main motherboard comes with it if you don't want want the Coreboot one and you want more extensive BIOS with a lot, probably more options, you can go with the AMI one. But if you want Coreboot, you have to go with this option, what is already flashed. So you select the 0 or the 1 or 2, and then it starts flashing for you. By the way, this whole thing, the flashing tool as well, is open source, I believe, right? Flashly, hardware configuration. So makefile, does it have the codes over here? Okay, so let's get out of this. I just didn't see the code for this. I want to make sure that this is also open source. Is it? Okay, so that's Python. All right, sorry. So, okay, yes, it is open source. That's Python, and those two scripts that you saw in that folder, they are basically the source. So configuration and hardware. There you go. So it's using flash ROM. So how come when I used it? Okay, so it needs a W. You need to pass the argument. I think you have to pass the flash type. No, actually W is for writing the file. This is the file name. So hold up. Why didn't it work for me when I tried it? Let me try again. How come mine doesn't work? So maybe they modified the flash ROM? Okay, yeah, so they are using vendor flash ROM, a custom version of flash ROM. So they modified something, I guess, because my flash ROM doesn't work. The default flash ROM that I just did with APT flash ROM, this one, Debian built flash ROM and flash ROM v2, I guess. Anyway, this is the tool that you can use to flash, and I'm sure, yeah, build Coreboot. So you can, even if you don't trust at all images that they are providing, sure, here is the guides for building the Coreboot yourself. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to show you guys this and show you the cost and the price and the difference and some benchmarking. I know I did a little bit, but that wasn't the point. So let me see if I can also successfully install Proxmox, and then I will be right back. Give me a couple of minutes. All right, so we are back, and look at my screen. So here is basically the HDMI, which is 172.16.1.244, which is this device, and I installed Proxmox in matter of, I think, 2 minutes. Absolutely no glitch whatsoever. Coreboot BIOS, Proxmox is installed, and if you see my whole screen, you will see that I am logged in. Here we go, and this is the Proxmox that's running on this. And if we go to here to the summary, you will see that this is the same CPU. If we want to, we can create a container just very quickly. Ubuntu test, let's say. And for the template, we are going to use Ubuntu 22. For the disks, we can use that one, and we can give it 50 gigabytes. CPU, we can give it, I don't know, 6 is too much, maybe. RAM, 2048. Actually, let's give 4 gig RAM, okay? And the network and all that stuff, and DNS and IP is DHCP, okay? And that's it, yeah. So start after created. Let's see. You're seeing it on real time, live. Okay, there you go. It created this, and if we start this, let's see if it starts. There you go. We are already booted. You see the speed. You see the smoothness. It's very nice. So let me log in. Oh yeah, the update. Of course it works. Okay, so everything is working with Coreboot. So now you have a Proxmox with community, open source, whatever, and then Coreboot open source and the hardware and everything. So that's how you can get a very, very secure and trusted platform and environment in your network. Okay, I just wanted to do this Proxmox because I was worried, like, you know, I'm gonna tell you guys about this great thing. I don't know, because of Coreboot or hypervisor or whatever, it just suddenly doesn't work. I had to try, so it works. Okay, pfSense, Ubuntu, and Proxmox all work. And one thing that I wanted to do is this actually. So this is the device, right? It comes with Intel i3 1215U. So what we are going to do is we are going to go to AliExpress and just say 1215U mini PC and say, I don't know, 6 port. Let's just search. Let's see what we find. Okay, Core i3 1215U 6 core. Is it though? Let's see. This is i7, i5, i3. Yeah, here you go. i3 1215U. It looks very, very similar. It's not identical. There's a big difference, I'll tell you, but very similar to this. And I'm using 32 gigabyte RAM. Okay, let's go bare bone, because the bare bone price is $630. Okay, and the RAM is crucial. I don't even know what these guys gonna give me, so ignore that. But I'm just saying, and this is again still not the same thing, because as you can see, this one comes with 2 ugly COM ports. Okay, this one comes with a beautiful USB-C and RJ45 based COM port. ports, but you see the USB ports are also identical. One USB 3 and 3 black ones, 3 USB 2s, exactly the same. Two COM ports. These guys just converted it to USB and RJ45. And the other difference is this one doesn't have the amount of ports that it does have, but you can get one of those PCIe cards or extensions or whatever. You can get SFP and 2.5 gigabit ports and stuff like that. I'm just saying it's not the same, but you see the price. This is $230. This is on the AliExpress. Very similar to this. Even look and feel is very similar to this. This one actually also has a display port. That one doesn't. I'm just saying, yeah, it's HDMI only. Okay, so very, very close, but still far. See, it's $230, $240. Okay. And if you add up the other ports and missing things, let's just call it $300. Let's be more generous, call it $350. Let's call it $400. It's still not $630. That's where the cost comes. I'm sure if I buy this and try to flash Coreboot to it, it's not gonna work. You might be lucky, find some AliExpress boards, flash some open source BIOS to it, and suddenly it works, but very rare, very rare. I tried to play around a little bit with the motherboards that I reviewed, it doesn't work. I understand, I know. There is no support, there is no total security, there can be some things. I did one video to show you guys how you can reverse engineer BIOS, and now I'm going to show you some computer mini PC that somebody else spent a lot of R&D and time and made a Coreboot available, open source BIOS available for their mini computer. Alright, thanks for watching. Please let me know what you think down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.